Welcome to the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
That is right. The Spurs News Podcast returns for a very one-off special. It is myself, Stephan. I am kind of running this one a bit at the moment because joining us from his sickbed is the one, the only. It is Mr. Spurs News himself. It's Sam.
Hello, my friend, and hello, everybody. How you doing, mate?
Oh, yeah, I mean, general lifestyle, yeah, not bad. Tottenham, what the heck? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know things are bad when we're like, yes, we need to do a one-off. We need to... We've got to talk about this.
Yeah. So I'm going to open the show by addressing the mailbag, so to speak, which is kind of like anybody who listens to the podcast will know that I put out via our social media a long time ago now that the show was going on hiatus. It was going to be paused. Now, the reason for that is my health. I'm not going to go into that, but yeah, it is keeping me away from work and from normal life and generally in doing anything. But yeah, I am hopefully having more good days than I am bad at the moment, and that's all I can hope for. So that's that. I'm not going to go down that road because we got other stuff to talk about, but I am via telephone, so I just want to apologise and say to everybody, Stephan's doing a job, wonderful job, via running the desk, but it does mean my audio is not going to be as good as it normally would, so apologies for that, but hopefully you can all still hear me, and hopefully the show is still worthwhile. Mate, funnily enough, this is episode 199 of this show.
Oh, wow. So the next one will also be a very special show.
Yeah. So my hope is that we do this one-off show, and then when I can finally commit to coming back weekly, which is my hope, nothing in life's guaranteed, but it is my hope, we can kick that off with episode 200, which would be kind of fun. Get Matt involved again as well, because I know he's missed by a lot of people. So that's that done. That's that addressed. Thank you to everybody who sent messages and emails, etc. I have appreciated it, and apologies I've not got back to everybody. It's just one of those things. So let's focus then on Tottenham Hotspur. Let's focus on the events that are going on. Now, I wrote a tentative kind of like outline for the points I felt we should cover for this show.
Okay.
Now, I wrote this yesterday. Now, we are recording on Wednesday, the 29th of March, year of our Lord 2023. And within what, mate, the last hour of us getting ready to record this, something else has happened.
Just to make the club we love that little bit more of an absolute, yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's ridiculous. There's this Simpsons meme that I post seemingly on a regular basis.
It seems to be daily.
which basically says how many days, Tottenham Hotspur sign, and then how many days since the last shit show, and it's got 0, and a guy looking really glum next to it.
I think I'm posting it daily at the moment.
It feels like that meme has been used by me more than any other for quite some time. Now, I posted it today saying, the day after the club put a video out of Paratici acting like business as usual, it's confirmed he is banned globally from all football activities. And yes, that is the news. I mean, I can't actually believe this. This is like, I don't. So let's just go back a little bit in history. A little while ago, it was announced that Fabio Paratici, along with a lot of directors for Juventus, have been found guilty in Italy of what they believed were various offences by footballing and around financial matters, in terms of financial reporting, in terms of transfers, in terms of just generally being a bit underhanded in breaking all the rules. And some you'd say breaking, some you'd say being crafty buggers, and not in the spirit of the rules, but generally they were found guilty of a lot of financial crime. And because of that, the Italian authorities banned them all for 30 months from any footballing activities in Italy. So they couldn't hold any position to do with football for 30 months in Italy.
And didn't like half the Juventus board just like as soon as the investigations opened, Nedved and all that lot were like, "Oh, we're walking away."
Yeah, they did. Basically, they tried to distance themselves so the punishment would come down perhaps on individuals or the club rather than both. Of course, the Italian authorities came down hard on all of them, and now we have it's worthwhile pointing out as well alleged offences, because all of these people are saying they're innocent and are appealing, and there's various things going on with that, and that will rumble on. The Italian legal system, by the way, is kind of crazy to me. So that will just roll on. But in footballing terms, Paratici was banned from any footballing activity at all within Italy. Now, obviously, he works in England now. A few people raised an eyebrow, like, did he know this was coming? Is this why he left Italy when he did? Which did shock a lot of people, if you remember, when he just suddenly left Juventus, this job he'd done, this amazing thing, and signed for Tottenham. It was like, this is bizarre. Why would this guy do it?
Tottenham fans, oh my God, how have we got this guy? Well,
yeah, now we know. So it's a little bit bizarre, the history to that. Now, one of the things that came out at the time was the Italian authorities asked UEFA and FIFA to make this ban Europe and worldwide. This is a standard practice. If the FA bans someone for something illegal in this country, they would do the same. It isn't always upheld. Like, sometimes you can say, look, you're punishing him in your country for something in other countries. That's kind of negligible. So, yeah, if he wants to go and work, he can. There's also, it's kind of funny to me, but there are a lot of laws around restrictions of, stopping people from seeking work and stuff like that. So it becomes very complicated. However, today, Wednesday the 29th, UEFA FIFA have confirmed that Fabio Paratici is now banned from all footballing activities globally.
It's the fact they've gone global, not even just like European. They've gone full globe. Yeah,
so they've basically backed the Italian FA's decision. They've said, yeah, okay, if they are guilty of that, we're with you, and you have currently found them guilty of that, therefore, right, we're with you. Now, if there's an appeal and it all gets lodged and everything like that, typically what will happen is even if they find them, you can't punish them as hard as you can, what happens is they reduce it. So it's like, right, you were banned for 30 months, you've served 6 of them already, and we're going to say, all right, that's time served, get back to work. That's kind of like the best case scenario for something like this.
Yeah.
The fact that the UEFA and FIFA have come in and gone, no, that's now global, is kind of crazy. Now, Tottenham Hotspur is an interesting football club, and I say interesting because for so long I've looked at it and gone, Daniel Levy, divisive character, brilliant businessman. I do not rate him as a footballing man in terms of what he does and how he does things.
Yeah.
And you could kind of look at it and go, evidence supports that, couldn't you? Because you'd go, lack of trophies shows his drive for success on the pitch is clearly not great, and his appointment of managers is an appalling thing. His backing of them is appalling. So you'd look at that and go, the football inside of Tottenham Hotspur under Daniel Levy has not been a success.
Correct.
In terms of winning competitions anyway. The club could argue in terms of when they took over the club, we were fighting relegation from the Premier League. and now we're fighting for Champions League places, they would say perhaps that is success. So there is a debate there, okay? So I will try and play devil's advocate and say both sides.
Yeah.
Now, you go to the business side of it, and I don't think there's a debate, or at least I didn't. I'm going to change that.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because you look at the club now to where the club was when Daniel Levy came in, and you go, right, the transformation of the training facilities from the lodge to Hotspur Way is like night and day. It is like world class everything.
It's one of the best training facilities in the world.
It is. International football teams who come here want to rent our facility. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely next level. Everybody says the same thing, and so that's okay. All right, fine. That's transformation. The academy, the fact that the academy then came through and produced England's greatest ever goal scorer. That's happened under Levy and Enoch because they did invest in the academy. They looked at it and went, "Yeah, we need to do this."
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that they're responsible for Harry Kane. I'm just saying that they did decide to do that. Harry Kane is fully responsible. Apparently, Tim Sherwood as well, which I still is bullshit to me. But yeah, Harry Kane is the man that's responsible. So please don't misinterpret what I was saying there. I just mean that the academy has now produced England's greatest all-time goal scorer, the club's greatest all-time goal scorer. Came through our academy, under Daniel Levy's, tenure. So you could point to all of these things. The commercial aspect of the club is ridiculous. Our commercial partnerships, the F1 partnership, the NFL partnership, the stadium is like an events mecca for rugby, for NFL, for concerts. The commercial aspect of this club and the brand Tottenham Hotspur globally is on another level. It's ridiculous. Like a friend of mine is a teacher in the US. Okay, she teaches in a high school in Fresno, California, and they have certain theme days because they don't have uniforms in most high schools in the US. But they have theme days. So like the theme yesterday for everyone was soccer. And they all had to wear their soccer jerseys. Okay, their team. Now she sported a Tottenham shirt because because they're my friends and they live in the US. I basically corrupted them, and we're like, okay, you're visiting the UK, you will have to wear these. Here are my gifts.
You didn't tell her much about the history and the running of the club first, did you?
No. You see, what you do to recruit new Spurs fans is you basically indoctrinate them. So whilst they were blissfully unaware of anything, I was like, here, look at this shirt. Isn't it pretty? Yeah, don't you like it? Yeah. Made a few jokes about having a cock on their chest and stuff like that, But basically, that was it. I indoctrinated them, and then they became Tottenham fans. Their kids have become Tottenham fans.
Yeah.
And then I was like, ha, suckers, got ya. But anyway, that aside, she went in.
Darkness, my old friend. Yeah.
Yeah, look, if I've got to suffer, I'm bringing people with me.
Yeah.
So she went into her high school yesterday, taught something like 6 classes. You're looking at 30 plus kids per class. And she said in every single class, the most worn shirt was a Tottenham shirt.
Yeah.
Now, that would never have happened 10, 20 years ago. Like Tottenham Hot.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen because we had no global brand.
Yeah.
What is mental is that Daniel Levy has managed to make that happen despite not being successful. It's actually very, very impressive because Manchester United are a global brand because they kept winning everything. Alex Ferguson made them into this massive behemoth brand. Liverpool are now a global brand because they started winning stuff again. Manchester City are now a global brand.
Yep.
It's hilarious to me that during the Alex Ferguson era and City were in League One and stuff like that.
Yep.
There were people who didn't know Manchester had a second club. There are people alive today who genuinely had no idea there was another football team in the city of Manchester. Now I did because I'm an old git, and I knew football existed before the Premier League.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, it's Manchester City. Oh, it's this. You actually generally around the world have confusion. Like, oh, is that the same? No, they're two different teams. How weird. But they are
They're
a
not
global
wearing
brand.
red. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a global brand because they're successful. Chelsea, same thing.
Yep.
Chelsea, until Roman Abramovich bought them, had won a few trophies in their history, but hardly anything. They used to have a whip round at halftime to pay the staff. They were a club with nothing really. Now, a global brand because of success.
Yeah.
So the fact that Tottenham have done that without the success is actually a kind of, wow, business wise, you clearly know what you're doing. I'm very impressed. So there you go. That's the whole point of view. And I have said, what I've said here is there can be a little bit of debate about the football inside, depending on where your metric is for success. For business, I don't think there's a debate until I want to raise this with you. And I think Fabio Paratici is the latest example. And you could argue football managers should be including this, but again, that's kind of like on the football inside. But Paratici, again, on the football inside, was appointed by Daniel Levy as not a director of football, which everyone still wants to call him, not, but as a footballing director for the entire club. Now, this sounds like, Sam, you just swapped two words around there. What the hell is the possible difference? The difference was supposed to be that this man was literally running the football side of the club, freeing up Daniel Levy to focus purely on commercial stuff.
Yep.
He was going to handle everything from contracts to sales to purchases, everything. This guy was going to come in and boom, he is football, Levy's commercial. The club now has a clear football man running the football side. And it was exciting. And when that happened, and I read all the definitions and I saw like all of the kind of press behind it, I thought, yeah, this is an exciting thing.
Yep.
Now, since he's arrived, multiple stories about Daniel Levy still being involved. It did not shock me that Levy, the ultimate I must keep my hands on control freak, was still there going, oh, are you struggling with this negotiation? Don't worry, mate. I got it. I'll do it. You know, that didn't shock me. In fact, the latest thing was Pedro Porro. The signing of Pedro Porro only got completed because Daniel Levy stepped in. Now, that's true. Now, I know that from people that are reliable and people who have got evidence-based articles of what happened in that protracted negotiation. It was his out-of-the-box thinking, a way of solving it and a way for all clubs to save face, get what they wanted for the player, that enabled that deal to happen because it was done. It was collapsed. It was, you know, on the day that it finally got agreed in the morning, all parties had walked away. So, again, you know, we have a pop at him a lot, but he did, you know, there was an occasion he actually stepped up for us.
Saying about his control freak side of it, isn't there a thing about how even if the club was to be sold, the contract negotiations would have to state that he stays involved in the club?
There's a lot of...
Now, I don't know if they're just rumours or not, but at the same time, I fully believe that he would actually turn around and go, we'll sell the club, however... I do not think that Daniel Levy would have a conversation with any journalist and reveal what his hand would be in any negotiation to sell the club. Yeah.
So I think that is a story that's been written, but sounds bloody true. And because it sounds true, we've all kind of looked at it and gone, well, yeah, duh, you know.
Of course he'll stay in
obviously,
charge,
that came from the Daily Mail, a Sami Mokbel piece, where it was a throwaway line about the fact that Conte wasn't committed, but Daniel Levy, even if Joe Lewis sold the club, Daniel Levy would stay on. And I'm like, all right, mate, let's, you know, Daniel Levy's got a shareholding. If some quadrillionaire comes along and goes, Daniel, these shares are worth 500 million, I'll give you $1 billion. We wouldn't see that man for dust. He would be parking his latest yacht next to Joe's yacht, just like, yeah, I'm done. Thank you. I'm out of here. So let's not be silly. Yeah, unfortunately, all of my letters to Messrs. Gates, J.K. Rowling, I've even tried. They're not interested. They're not buying the club.
Come on,
Um,
Jeff, get involved. Come on.
yeah, Mr. Bezos actually replied with, "Please stop writing to me. How the hell did you get this address?"
Yeah.
So my point is, Daniel Levy made the decision to bring in Fabio Paratici, and the club, which I consider to be very well run commercially, made that decision that Fabio Paratici was going to be the face of football in matters, and he would give transfer window updates, he would give interviews, he would try and create a bit of a link between the fandom and board level thinking at the club. Okay, so that's the decision you've made. So yesterday, Tuesday, Fabio Paratici does an interview where he is talking to all of us Spurs fans about Antonio Conte's departure, which we've not even touched on yet,
No.
and how it's business as usual. And he was like a kind of PR recorded video of don't worry everyone, we've got this, the club is still going forward, we got these 10 games to focus on. And I kind of watched it at the time and I thought it's weird how the club have said nothing about all of his issues. He's not addressed it publicly either.
Yep.
We as a fandom have all read the articles, we know what's going on. But here he is, business as usual. And I think I even messaged you and said, well, clearly he's still in a job and no
Just
problems.
came across as so weird. Like, even watching it, it felt very strange to be watching, like, the interview. It all felt weird. And then today, he was like, oh, that's why it felt weird. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't understand the thinking behind it. Surely, today's news came out of the blue for us as fans, but surely at the club, they knew something was about to happen. Like, surely they knew something. And then they still chose to put out that weird video. I mean, I did see one person on Twitter reply to it saying, I really hope this wasn't his one call he's allowed.
Yeah,
and that was 12 hours ago, so that was way before the news broke.
I did a Photoshop of basically removing his background and putting a jail cell saying that the Zoom background's not fooling anybody.
Yeah.
So I've just seen a little update, basically coming from Sky Sports News, saying that Fabio Paratici is banned from conducting any market activity for transfers. So he cannot speak to agents, clubs, or players. However, he's still able to work internally at the club, like attending meetings. I mean, I can't be the only person who just thinks, what the hell? I mean, so that Sky Sports News are running that, which basically means someone in Tottenham had that and has given it to them.
Yeah.
So Paratici's currently the cleaner. What the? I mean, I can't.
He's allowed to work at the club, but he can't be involved in any transfers. Although his job title is football director.
Literally the man who's doing all of it. It is a freaking nonsense. Now, the club, though, this going back to my original point, are in such a corner with this.
Yeah.
Only yesterday, they allowed him to put out a video like, "Don't worry, everyone, we got this. I'm in charge. I'm on the ball.
Support the team. We need our fans."
Yeah. And then today, they can't just sack him because they let him put that video out yesterday.
Yeah.
So I think the guy's gone in the summer. I think the minute this season ends, Tottenham will announce that he's gone. But I think they've painted themselves into a corner now where they're gonna have to wait, and he is literally just gonna have to sit in the office and say, oh, okay, this is the person you need to ring, and he's got some other bloke there doing the phone calls whilst he's in the background working them like a puppet master for 10 weeks.
I mean, even though, just the visualising of this, I can just now imagine, he's going to be sat at his desk with his brother or something sat in front of him, and he's going, right, phone that number, I'm going to put it on a loudspeaker, I'm going to write to you on my iPad or tablet or whatever what to say. and I'll show you what to say to it. So pretend there's a bit of a signal issue, which is why there's a bit of a delay.
Yeah, it just...
it's insanity.
Do you know they made that Amazon documentary that you starred in?
Oh man, I wish it
Tottenham?
had been this season. I so
No,
wish...
God, no. I never want to see that again, right? So let me just clear that. Mostly because they put you in it and not me. But I'm starting to think, actually, there isn't a documentary at Tottenham. It's a sitcom. Like, it is actually a situational comedy. Because if you think about it, like what we just described then, it's a freaking sketch show. Like,
really
okay,
is.
you've been... Like, there's a meeting, right? So there's a meeting yesterday or this morning between Daniel Levy and Paratici where he's gone, right, so you are in charge of contract negotiations, ins and outs, everything, but you are currently unable to talk to players, to talk to agents, to talk to clubs about any of those things. Yeah, that's right. So you cannot actually do your job. No. All right. So what we're going to do is, this is Susan. Now, Susan is now you, and you tell her what to do, and Susan will do it, and then we're not breaking any rules. Yeah. And then there's this poor person who's just literally going to be like, hello, is that Charlie Kane? Yeah, we'd like to renegotiate it. Yeah, my name's Susan. Yeah, you wouldn't have heard of me. It's like, are you freaking kidding me?
It's like you say about like comedy sketches. You can almost imagine him walking into the building, players walking past saying hello, and him just kind of nodding. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not allowed around players. Yeah, I mean, oh, Jesus.
How you doing, Paratici?
Yeah. Fabio. No? Okay.
Yeah.
So one of Fabio Paratici's decisions so far, because he's been heavily involved in managerial appointments, so he appointed Nuno.
Great start.
Don't talk about no.
I haven't got the sound on my desk, damn it.
No, that's why I did it.
Yeah.
So we got that.
I mean, that was a bad start, let's be honest. If we're talking about his reign so far, it took him 70 odd days to appoint Nuno that went
that managerial hunt and managerial appointment was probably up there as one of the worst I've experienced as a fan.
Yeah.
Because it was every day there was a name, every day there was something. The club were leaking information constantly, and I don't think it's any shock to anyone that Paratici is so friendly with Fabrizio Romano and the Italian kind of journalist, Di Maria and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, with him appointed at Tottenham, Tottenham became like the leakiest boat ever. You know, it was ridiculous. There were so many things.
Like, the press had a different story every day, and it was like, how are they guessing all of this stuff? Like, how do they know all this?
Oh, it was a nonsense, mate. Absolute freaking nonsense. And it was like, and what kind of is worse is because sometimes when you get these kind of merry-go-rounds around transfers and around managerials, well, that's just the press. That's just the press. Yeah. But on this one, we kept getting interviews where managers were like coming out going, yeah, I spoke to Tottenham, or I've got an interview, or anything. Like, I remember like Gattuso, they were genuinely going to appoint him until the Tottenham fans got hold of his quotes about women and stuff like that, and gay people, and went mental. Like, there was literally trending #1 in Europe, I think, Gattuso no, from Tottenham fans. So Tottenham had to break off negotiations. Like, no, sorry, we can't bring you in. It'd be a PR disaster. But Gattuso, of course, then went viral with it. Like, bloody Tottenham fans don't want me. Well, I don't want you either. It's like, you were literally going to have a punch-up with an old man once, Joe Jordan, who I still think Jordan would have decked him.
I think Jordan won the fight, yeah.
Yeah, I think he would have. Genuinely, I do. But the older footballers versus modern footballers, I'm still backing the older ones, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But I just cannot wrap my head around how the hell we got to those points with all these different people. Paulo Fonseca was another one that people went ballistic about. And they were just like constantly
Some of
constant
the names
links.
were hilarious.
And then, of course, the one, and again, call me cynical, the one that brought everybody together at that particular point, like, oh, it's happening, we're delighted, is when everything moved towards we were going to bring Pochettino back.
Yep.
And there were 3 days, and I remember it well, where I genuinely believed it was going to happen because everyone that I know that I rely on were writing it. Everyone was saying it. PSG were going to fire him. Daniel Levy had approached him, and Pochettino had said yes. And everything was like, oh, wow, okay, this is all heading. And then all of a sudden, bang, PSG renewed his deal for an extra year. And I was like, this doesn't make, people are, these people are well sourced. This is bizarre. These people only normally say these things if the club gives them a nod, like, yeah, you got that. Well, you're right.
Yeah.
So if, there's certain journalists that take flyers and you get to know them. And there's certain journalists, that when they get a story, they go to the club and say, hey, want to comment on this? And the club will either give them a nod or a wave or whatever, a wink's as good as a whatever. And those journalists, if they put it in the print, you can go, yeah, they've sourced this with the club. It's going to be okay. Dave Heitner, for example, at Guardian, Alistair Gold, etc. So when they were writing it, Pochettino's returning, and they were writing pieces not like, oh, this could happen, but like, oh, how it's going to happen and what's going to happen and how the reaction's going to be. And then it was, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
Call me cynical, but that whole event happened around season ticket renewal.
Oh, didn't it just?
During the manager hunt, and then died away very quickly after the renewal window had, it just, I don't know.
It felt like it all linked up a little bit too well.
It does, and now we're in this situation again where season ticket renewal window is very soon. Well, possibly now. Literally should be now.
And I'm pretty sure it's the most expensive season ticket on the market in the UK. From what I've been seeing. In Europe.
We have the highest... So hang on, I looked this up. A good statistician.
I've seen it all over Twitter, people criticising the price.
Okay.
Considering we're in a living crisis at the moment.
A living crisis. Cost. Yeah. So here we go. Right. So based on this season, across all of the European leagues, we have the highest average. So obviously there are different tiers. You've got the real mega expensive, and then you've got the, so you've got the kind of the different tiers. But when you average it, we have got the highest average. We have got the second highest in terms of premium. So I think Real Madrid still have a version of their season ticket slightly higher than ours. I mean, and what did they win? I mean, what are those people going to watch?
Galacticos, what? Yeah.
Yeah, weird. I mean, what sort of football do they play? Oh, yeah, some of the best on the planet at the moment. So second, in the UK, we are the highest. Wide, we are the highest.
I mean, obviously we're the highest because we're winning all the cups and challenging for the league each season. So of course.
Yeah, the club justification is we're paying not for the football but for the facilities. Yeah.
That alone, that hurts.
It's painful, isn't it?
You're not paying for the football. You're paying for the facilities.
The rumor is that they are about to announce a season ticket price increase as well.
Yeah, that's the rumours I've seen online.
Yeah. Now, the fact that those rumours are out there, I think have been leaked by the club so they can soften the reaction. I don't think it's going to work.
No.
I think they're so screwed. I think the reaction is going to be on a level that they've not felt before, and it needs to be. It genuinely needs to be, and it needs to be together. And it needs to be none of this crap. The whole Levy in, Levy out debate, it needs to just be dropped and people go, no, this is not okay. You cannot keep treating us like this. It is not okay. Because that's what it needs to be. It needs to be one voice. It needs to be all the fans, and it needs to just be not, screaming for them out or whatever. Everyone just shelve that and go to, this is not okay.
Yeah.
You know, bumping these prices, putting prices up during a cost of living crisis, and knowing the amount of money that the club make from TV and everything else, knowing they don't need to do it, and the fact that they've served up shite in terms of entertainment and good football and footballing success for these people to go and watch. You want an atmosphere at that ground. You want there to be singing, chanting. You want an atmosphere. You do not want it to be a ground of tourists.
Nope.
And don't get me wrong, I don't say that criticising it. Like, I see in our stadium, every time Sonny plays, near on hundreds of South Korean fans who are clearly here as tourists and are taking in a game because they want to see Sonny.
Yeah.
I love that. I have got no issue with that. That's perfect. These people are coming to our ground, they're spending their money. It needs to have that. You have a 60-odd thousand seat stadium, of course, you've got to have all different aspects, but the more and more you increase the prices, the more and more it becomes corporate. The more and more it's people there on days out, like, oh, I'm bringing so-and-so to a, you know, hey, I'm taking so-and-so to a soccer game in the UK. Yeah. Oh, look, yeah, let's go soccer. You know,
Go
isn't
sports.
someone there?
Yeah,
Go sports. Yeah, will you come again? Hell no. Literally, you are heading towards that and not having real football atmosphere, which when they were building the stadium is what they kept talking about, and the way the stadium's built. You remember us beating Arsenal 3-0 last year. Yeah. The atmosphere in that stadium was ridiculous. That was a raw, passionate football crowd. Yeah. And that's what you need
Arsenal
in there.
Arsenal didn't know how to deal with it because of the atmosphere was the fans. And then this year, we haven't had that like at all this year.
No. And you keep bumping the prices up. You keep pushing out the people that do that.
There was a picture, I want to say it was Man City.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, like, your point about the whole becoming a tourist stadium.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a picture, I'm sure it was Man City, where it was Kevin De Bruyne or someone had scored, and there was a picture of him celebrating in the corner. Yeah. And you could see, let's say you could see 100 fans in this picture. 70 to 80 of them were just stood there, phone in hand, recording and taking pictures of a football player close to them. And you had like 20 odd fans that were going crazy because they just scored a goal.
Yeah.
But the other 70, there's no emotion, no nothing. It's just people holding your phone going, I've got a picture of Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah. Well,
that's what it's going to turn into.
Yeah, well, also modern society is a little bit like that. The last gig I went to, I was stood there watching, and I looked around, and I was surrounded by people 10 years younger than me, just watching the gig that they were at
through their phone
via the small screen on their phone because they were trying to film it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, be here, be in the moment. What the?
Yeah, things like that. I have to. Even at football games, I will take pictures before the match, and I'll take some pictures after, like knowing the players are warming up and stuff. Get a picture of the players. I'll do that as soon as the match starts.
When you're there,
phone in the pocket. I am singing. I am standing. I am getting involved in the match. You know.
Yeah. I don't know. I could rant on that, but I won't.
Yeah.
We've only got so much time.
And we haven't even touched on the news for the reason we were going to do a podcast.
No, so let's dive into it. Antonio Conte has left. He was our manager for around 16 months. He arrived. I think all of us, when he arrived, kind of looked at him and went, well, is this going to work?
Yeah.
Because, you know, he's someone who has high demands. He isn't going to suffer Daniel Levy not backing him lightly. He'll publicly say it. And we all kind of, didn't he just? Now, we all kind of looked at him and went, if you're appointing this guy, you know that that's how it's going to go. Yeah. And therefore, if you are appointing him, you are making the decision as a club to change. Because if you're not, this is the dumbest appointment since the previous one, which was Nuno.
Which was the dumbest one since the previous one before that, which was Jose. Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of looked at it and went, no way could the club operate in the same way it has done for all these other people, because they must truly look at this and go, we're appointing this guy, and we're gonna shift our mentality because we've decided that we need to.
This is the start of the change. Like, this is the...
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, a manager of this quality coming... I mean, it should have been the same when we hired Jose. It should have been the same. The mentality should have changed then because everybody knew the manager's mentality, the way he operates and what he does. Everyone knew that about him. And we didn't learn from that. And then we hired Nuno, and that went awfully. And then we got Antonio, who the board... We all know the board had wanted beforehand. And this time,
by all accounts,
we had to get him.
Yeah, by all accounts, he had rejected us in the summer on the basis that he'd looked at our ambition and how we did things and said, if that's not going to change, we won't work together.
Yeah, so surely...
when we saw him appointed, the logical thing in all of our brains was, well, things have obviously changed.
Yeah.
They have not.
No, they have not. They...
But the signals sent to us were that they had. So Antonio Conte's first, it was half a season or whatever it was, he was with us. He got us from languishing mid-table to the top four. He took us on an incredible run. Like our last 11, 12 games of the season, we did brilliantly. We played great football. We were attacking. We were scoring goals for fun. And I think Kulusevski and Bentancur had come in his first window. And all of us were like, oh, bloody hell, Juventus rejects. Within a couple of weeks went, bloody hell, our best ever signings.
Yeah.
And we were all just like, this is the start. Oh, wow, we are actually changing as a football club.
This
happening. Is impressive.
Yeah.
This is happening. We then go into the summer where we think, well, now this summer window is going to be it. This is going to be the one.
Window. But we brought in more players than I can ever remember a signing.
But we looked at it from the point of view of this is where we got to show our ambition. This is what we're going to do, and we're hearing links to these players, and we're like, we're never spending 50, 60 million on a player. We're not going to do it. And, this is Tottenham. We got to sell people before we can buy them, and then boom, news drops. ENIC, for the first ever time, are putting money into the football side of the club.
Yeah.
And all of us were jaws on the floor, shook.
We are actually backing a manager in the transfer market in a big way.
Yeah. All of us, absolutely shocked to our core. And then we went through the window and we looked at it, and I think all of us were kind of like, okay, this is exciting. We've made some really smart signings.
It was sensible. That was the weird thing about it was we made like 7 or 8 signings, but they were all sensible.
Yeah.
Like we brought in Perisic, a player who Conte had worked with before. He had converted him from a forward to a wing back, which he likes to play.
Yep.
Knows him, a model professional, seems to be a very nice guy, good footballer. Yep. Like, one of those players that I couldn't believe we'd signed. Perisic went, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Good signing. Fraser Forster signed in goal as a backup to Hugo.
Homegrown English keeper.
Experienced keeper, a lot of experience. And he's shown with Hugo being out injured, a very good goalkeeper still.
Yep.
We signed these sort of players in the summer and it was like, wow, okay. Richarlison came in. Now, I still say I did not like Richarlison as I don't want to say as a person because I don't know, but as a player, I did not like him. The theatricals and and he always looked like he was a sulker. Like his face was never happy. He always looked pissed off the whole time.
Yeah.
But we acknowledged that we have no competition for Kane. So we went and brought ourselves a player who is a Premier League level player who has played in the Premier League with the experience, and we went and splashed £60 million on him.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow, we're actually doing what needs to be done.
Yep. The signing of Basuma, the best defensive midfielder in the league at the point.
Yeah.
Really solid business.
And then Spence and stuff. We've signed Spence and Destiny, who's still over in Italy. The two of them are like, we've signed these players for the future. Like, they're very solid wing backs that Antonio Conte likes for the future. Wow. Okay.
So the one position we didn't sign anyone other than a loan with Clement Longley is we didn't sign one of the central defender targets that we were constantly, Vardiol and Bastoni were the two that
Yes.
Conte wanted. We were basically quoted prices for both that we weren't gonna meet.
No.
And they both went away, and then we ended up with Longley on loan. Our defence this season has been shocking. It genuinely has.
Truly.
Like,
Yeah.
it feels like back to the 90s, and someone said to me, said, "Oh, we were just spoiled a bit by Vertonghen and Alderweireld for a while." I'm like, yeah, even last season it wasn't this bad.
And we've already conceded over 40 goals, and there's 10 games left.
Yeah, it is an abomination. It genuinely, like, I can't get over, just some of the goals we concede, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is just basic shit. This is just so basic.
Yeah.
And I can't, like, I know a lot of people were like going on about Lloris earlier in the season, and I got to be honest with you, I'm I'm watching Fraser Forster, and I think Fraser Forster's playing very well for us. I've seen a couple of times where I think, maybe you could have done a bit better, mate. But they're just, you concede that many chances in a game, you're going to concede goals.
Yeah.
You don't. It's so stupid. Like some of the goals we've conceded, I look at it and I just think, what chance are you giving a keeper in this? What possible opportunity are you giving him to earn his crust and keep a clean sheet? Because
Yeah.
you're just allowing people to run off you. You're allowing people to just stand in space. You're drifting infield and looking behind you and like, oh, where did he come from? Well, yeah.
Oh man,
It's
even like
mental.
the ones from set pieces. Like I've seen us at set pieces,
Yeah,
and we all line up. We've got our man each. The ball comes in from the set piece,
yeah,
and all the Spurs players seem to stand still, and the opposition run all over the place, and they get free space. And I'm like,
yeah,
why have you not just stayed with the man? Like we have a set piece coach,
yeah,
coach. That's hard to say. And
yeah. It was a little bit.
what is this coach doing apart from telling them? It's almost like we're doing zonal marking, but haven't given out the zones.
Well, the set pieces coach is offensive. He works on us scoring from set pieces, and we've got the highest number of goals from corners and free kicks this season. So that has worked.
Where's the defensive one?
Defensively, we are shite.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? Antonio Conte is regarded as a defensive coach. Jose Mourinho is regarded as a defensive coach, playing a counter-attack style football with the systems that they had. Under Jose, once we started conceding more than we scored, it was doomed. The football was dire, and there was no coming back from it.
Yeah.
Now, under Conte, it's basically gone the same way. Now, Conte could point to the fact that, like, if you'd sign me better defenders, my system would work. But his rigid belief in, I'm not changing it, regardless of the personnel I have, this is how I play and this is how Tottenham will play under me, meant that no matter what was going on, we just kept going. And it was such me and you have had this discussion a lot, and I spent a lot of time over this season just going, it's weird. Like, I don't get it. Yeah. I don't get how we can start games looking shite and then in the second half look better. I don't get why we can keep conceding stupid goals. We talked about it so much, and one of the things that we've agreed on, but kind of just been like, it's a weird season, is we've not enjoyed watching Tottenham play.
No.
Like, there isn't a game from this season. There's games we've won, and I've been like, oh, that wasn't too bad. But the fact that I reference it as not too bad is probably being kind. I have not enjoyed watching Tottenham this season at all.
No, I mean, I even look at the Marseille game in the Champions League.
Yeah.
People keep referencing back to, beating Marseille 2-0. It was like, yeah, but it was 2 really late goals at the end of a really rubbish game of football.
Yeah.
And we beat Man City. Yeah, we did. But we didn't play great. We just got lucky on that one.
Yeah, I mean,
there's not
there are
been
some,
games to enjoy.
there are results there where our performances were better. Like the Man City performance was definitely better. I'm just saying that it's not, the overall thing is not one of enjoyment. There's not been like a kind of, like I enjoy watching Tottenham play, and not at all. No, and I know that I'm not alone in that, because like ticket exchange is very busy for games. People just aren't asked. It's like, no, I'm not making a journey to go and watch that crap.
I have never been offered tickets to a game as much as I have in the since the World Cup.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I have got a few friends of mine that are season ticket holders, and with the season tickets, I might get 2 or 3 games a season where they're like, look, we've got a family event, or I'm away on holiday, or something's happened with work, or something like that. Do you want to go to the game? And it used to be a case of, I'd love to, mate, but I haven't got the money for it. To get from home to London, you're looking at £30-40. Then the tickets, food, drink, everything on top. Like, I'm talking well over £100 day out, and as it's fairly last minute, I just can't do it. Yeah. This season, I've got the money to do it, and he's offering me the tickets, and I'm like, I think I'm actually straightening my beard that day.
Yeah,
sorry,
you do have a mightily straight beard. Yeah. So I want to read you something because I want to get your reaction to it.
Go on.
When the club sacked Jose Mourinho, Daniel Levy issued a statement about the manager hunt that was going to go ahead, and the fact that obviously Jose's tenure had come to an end. This was the 19th of May 2021, okay?
Yep.
We shall focus on the recruitment of a new head coach. We are acutely aware of the need to select someone whose values reflect those of our great club and return to playing football with the style of which we are known. Free-flowing, attacking and entertaining, whilst continuing to embrace our desire to see young players flourish from our academy alongside experienced talent. Now that was the 19th of May 2021, Daniel Levy setting out to us as fans that in his search for a new head coach, it was free-flowing, attacking and entertaining football, and someone who helped develop young players for the first team.
We signed Nuno.
And then Conte.
A player, Conte himself, a manager well known for buying in talent and playing a very defensive Italian style of football.
Yeah.
Not known for bringing through young players and free-flowing attacking spirit.
No. So this is, I guess my point with this is, I was said when this podcast started, the thing about the business side of the club, you can't really argue with it. I think you can now. Because if you take us the way that Tottenham treat us, it's not as fans, but as customers.
Yeah.
You know, generic customer number, whatever, you know, because they feel that we're replaceable. They've got a season ticket waiting list, which means they feel like they can just keep bumping the prices up because if people cancel, someone else will buy it. Forgetting the footballing aspect, like I said, forgetting atmosphere, forgetting everything else like that. Yeah, the next person might well buy it, and you might well make money, and you might not lose money. But what you're going to lose is a guy there who's been there for 20 years, everyone knows him, and there's an atmosphere there, and you're replacing it with someone who might only show up for 4 or 5 games a season. And the rest of it, he gives out like a corporate gift, and, you know, some random shows up like you. Yeah. But you see my point on this.
Oh, yeah.
They're not committed. Daniel Levy made that promise to fans. Sorry, not promise. He made that statement to fans.
Almost 2 years ago.
As fans, we looked at that and we went, okay, Daniel, not all of us like you. Some of us, in fact, want to burn you in effigy. However, you've told us that now. You went from Pochettino to Jose. You've looked at it and you've gone, okay, I've made that mistake. I don't know about you, but me, if someone does that, I go, all right, fair enough. You know,
I understood fully the reasoning behind signing Jose. I fully understand that Daniel Levy
giving it a
looked at
go
that and went, he is a born winner. Like, all the way back from his Porto days through to now, he is a winner, and the fans want trophies.
I understand the logic.
And the logic was there, and I hated the fact we signed Jose, because he was a manager that I loved to watch from a distance, because you knew that was like prime time television. Every time he was in front of a camera, you knew he could say something or do something and it'd be amazing. You don't want that at your club, though. But
some of it was funny.
Yeah, he tried it. The theory was good. The idea was there. It didn't work. And then he gave out that statement, and you think to yourself, okay, you've learned that just because so-and-so can win a load of trophies doesn't mean that that is going to fit with your business model and the club structure. You now want exciting, free-flowing, perfect. Let's do it.
You got to remember, he sacked him before a final. I'm sorry. I know I've brought this up before, and I have to bring it up again now, because what you just said then is so indicative of like us as fans looking at the club, trying to work out what the direction is.
Yeah.
Because when you appointed Jose, when you sacked Pochettino, all of us just went, okay, things had gone to shit. But I felt, so I'll just talk from me actually.
Yep.
I felt this man deserved the opportunity after going window after window with no signings and no sales, and the squad becoming complacent because they all thought, oh, well, we're here to stay. You've allowed, the ownership have allowed this to happen. Please let Mr. Pochettino rip a few of these guys out by the stump. Give him some money now we're in our shiny new stadium. Let him rebuild and go again. That was my opinion.
No, I agree. I completely agree. He should have been given. We had a bad start to the season. We had the absolute drubbing of the
things had become poor, and the players were poor because the players were become assholes basically. Because you have to keep moving the squad. You can't allow it to become stale. Pochettino kept saying it, and the club kept ignoring him. So anyway, so parking that, you then appoint Jose, and like you said, it is trophy driven. You've gone, unfortunately, we don't think Mauricio can get the best out of this squad to get a trophy. We think Jose can. We think we as a club have gone up a level, and Jose is now someone who's coming in. Jose came in thinking the same thing. Jose gets in, and within weeks, he started saying, ooh, yeah, there's problems with this squad.
Yeah.
Didn't he? He came in and was straight away, I need this, I need that. And we did. We backed him. We bought a load of players that he wanted, some players that he didn't, because, it's Tottenham.
Yeah.
And within that, Jose kept working, and he managed to get us to a cup final. Now, this is a very Jose thing to do. This is what Jose does. Even if, other things aren't going well, the form, the football shite, the bloke still somehow manages to get these things. And I despise him with a passion from everything I read about the things he did behind the scenes, the stuff he dismantled from the Pochettino era, which is just taking the club backwards, drives me freaking insane.
Yep.
However, he is still the person in a one-off game, a final, I would put as my manager. If I had to win a game, one-off game, and my life depended on it, he is the manager I would choose to win the game on my behalf.
Because he would set the tactics up purely for that one game, that one opposition. He would make it happen.
He would find a way to make it happen, and his entire career is based on that. Yeah. Now, when he's been ultra successful is when he's been at teams where he's been able to put together a world-class squad, which has enabled him to, on a regular basis, just send them out and they go and beat teams. And then when it really matters, he gets that squad focused in on his tactical nuance, and they're able to do it.
Yeah.
At Tottenham, he didn't have that squad. He didn't have the ability to go, oh, this player's not working, get me a new £50 million version of him.
Yeah.
And it fell down. But in that final, there is still a big part of me, and I think there's a big part of a lot of fans, look at it and go, he probably would have won that game. He had something on Pep at that particular time.
Yeah.
We had done the number on City. And by the way, we're still doing it. And Man City must hate us. But
We are
he
like
had
Man
that.
City's bogey team, aren't we?
We really are, and it's ridiculous. But he must have still believed we'd have won that final.
Yeah, and Daniel sacked him to save a bit of cash on the compensation clause.
Yeah. So just to be clear, so everyone who knows, Jose Mourinho had bonuses built in for success. A lot of managers do that. A lot of players do that.
Yep.
If he had lifted that trophy, he'd have had a salary bump plus a bonus. We fired him 5-6 days before the final.
Yeah.
And just threw Ryan Mason into the deep end.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, good luck. And I think we lost that final 1-0.
We lost it 1-0 to Laporte header near the end. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't disgrace ourselves, but at the same time, yeah, I'm still just blown away by that. So, but like you just said, Daniel Levy took us down that direction with Jose Mourinho of win at all costs. You know, sod the football, sod everything else, sod being a club that neutrals liked. Because, you know, under Pochettino, every neutral, every pundit, we were their darlings, you know. Like we were under
played the
Redknapp.
best football in the league.
Yeah, we were doing stuff great, and we were the media darlings. Everyone was kind of like, hey, look at Tottenham, they're great.
Yeah.
So now Jose come in, we said, screw all of that, we want to win stuff. And then 5-6 days before the final, they sack him, and you're like, what? Okay, so
Yep.
we then, like I said, get that statement in the May. So Jose's gone. Ryan Mason took us to the end of the season. He then releases the statement, and you look at it and you go, right, okay, so what you've decided is we're not all about winning trophies, actually. We want to be entertaining, and obviously we want to win stuff, but we want to get back to the Tottenham way. We don't just want to win stuff ugly. We want to do it the Tottenham way.
Yep.
Nothing quite says the Tottenham way like Nuno Espirito Santo is the biggest oxymoron of a statement in the history of the world.
Oh, isn't it
So,
just?
And then to go from that to Antonio Conte was basically going back to Jose.
Yeah.
What you've done is you've appointed Nuno as like a kind of stopgap. We couldn't find the manager anywhere, and there's this guy, and he says he'll do it for a few weeks.
I want to show to get the fans back to respect the club, and we are going to entertain you. And that speech was still fantastic from Nuno when he signed with it.
It's painful. Yeah, sorry. It's like just thinking about that whole start to that season like gives me a migraine.
Can you imagine people like Harry Kane, for example, has gone from his very, very good friend Pochettino, to the world-class trophy-winning Jose Mourinho,
who Kane got on really well with, by the way.
Yeah.
His relationship with Jose was strong. That when Jose got fired before that final was basically, from what I've been fed, was the catalyst to Kane trying to manufacture a move to Man City that summer.
Yeah.
It was basically in his head. It was like, nah, this club aren't trying to win something. You don't sack a man like that before a final. You keep saying we're about trying to win stuff, but no, you clearly aren't. And that was it. That was the catalyst. And then they tried to convince him that whole summer, and just refused point blank to allow him to go, refused all offers, and then appointed Nuno and wondered why he reported back to training late.
Yeah. He probably saw the Sky Sports breaking news. Tottenham Hotspur signed Nuno Espirito Santo as their new manager. And he probably turned the TV off and went, no.
You probably looked at it and went, wow, it's April 1st already? I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah.
It's just mental. But then the club went, that didn't work. Harry, you're still with us. You're under contract. We're not letting you go. Don't worry, Harry. Here's Antonio Conte.
Another serial winner. Yeah.
You know, and you kind of, and we as fans all went, well, if we're appointing him, we're obviously changing. This is good. This is great. And it just didn't work, right? The whole thing from start to finish just felt like a toxic ass relationship where Antonio from like day one, and I kind of thought this would change, but it didn't. And from day one has been like, I am the great Antonio Conte. I am legend. I am one of the best things that ever happened to your shitty little football club.
Yeah.
You are so lucky that I am here. Worship me or fuck off. Is how he has felt from day one to me.
Yeah.
When he and you kind of, and there was like part of me was kind of like, I love that arrogance. Like there's part of me that's always kind of like, I love arrogance in people who back it up. You know, it's kind of like, you back this shit up, mate, and you can be as cocky as you friggin' want. Like you go on a winning run. At the end of last season, when we were demolishing teams, including Arsenal, and we grabbed top four, the feeling I had, and I was kind of like, yeah, he's backed it up. He's come in, he's turned it around. He's sorted out the nutrition, brought the sports science back, like that bloody Jose got rid of. He's brought us back to modern coaching techniques. I'm like, finally, yeah, okay, we are there. We are playing good, attacking. Even in his system, everyone's like, oh, it's counter-attack, it's defensive. I'm like, mate, I just watched us stomp teams like
last
the
game
Norwich
of the season,
game.
5-1 Norwich. Yeah,
it was like we were scoring goals for fun, free flowing. You know, Kulusevski or Kulusexy as he was at that moment.
Son,
it
Golden Boot winner.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. How the atmosphere, the feeling, how good it felt going into that summer and coming into this season. He's had a window. He's had a pre-season. We kept seeing the footage of them in Korea nearly dead.
Pre-season of Harry Kane throwing up at the side of the pitch.
Yeah.
And Matt Doherty almost crawling through the seat to collapse. Yeah.
You look at them all. The pictures are dire. The pictures of Kane. These guys look the fittest they have ever looked in their life. And all of us were going, okay, this is going to be this is going to be impressive.
It's going to go one of two ways. He had either killed them in pre-season, and come January they were going to be dead, or come January the other team's going to be dead, and we're going to be like, we've not even hit third gear yet, lads. Yeah. Come on, let's go.
And the pundits were like, oh, this season, title-wise, Liverpool, Man City, but we think Tottenham could disrupt it. Yeah. Everybody. It wasn't just like one or two like going, oh, for Tottenham. It was just like, no. Look at what they're doing there, what they're building. Antonio Conte knows what he's doing. Solid and good, and you're looking at it. This is going to be impressive, and I think all of us fans bought into it. All of us were just like, "Yeah, this is going to be good." Yeah. And the football from the start has been crap. The results have been all over the place, and the goals conceded has just been like you want to put your head through a frigging wall.
Well,
it's
I
unbelievable.
Genuinely don't understand. Like, honestly, hands up, I do not understand how we went from the end of last season playing how we were, the Conte way, scoring as many goals as we were scoring and playing as well and defending as well as we were defending.
Yeah.
And then the start of this season, I'm like, how? How does that change so much?
No.
It makes no sense. Like, honestly, I just don't understand what happened.
No, I'm with you. It is bizarre. And now, like whenever a manager goes, you then get all the stories. So you then get all the stuff that the club will know, and the club will then. Now, you say again, I'm cynical, right? So whenever things go, people often say, "Oh, the players." Oh, the lazy bastard players. Always happens, training's too tough and all this crap. And always comes out when a manager leaves. Right, let's think about this for a minute, right?
Yep.
What possible reason would a player who is unhappy have to hold his tongue over these things, right?
Yeah.
Agents, managers of players know that they can leak stuff at any time they want. You know, they can go to the press anytime and press eat this shit up.
Oh,
so
they love it.
A week into pre-season, these Tottenham players were moaning like hell, but saying how amazing it was. Remember, all of them, to a man, social media, he's trying to kill us, but, you know, we are feeling the benefits.
I've never felt yesterday. As fit as I have.
Yeah, I miss ketchup. However, I have dropped the stone. You know, it was like all of them to a man. It was social media, but it was constant. It was interviews, and then you go into the season and all of these things, and you could see it. Like Eric Dyer looked the best he'd ever looked in his life, and started the season.
Tank.
Started the season the best form he's ever been in. I still feel like the death of Petroni's played a part. Him getting an England recall, I don't know, but he's not been the same player since then.
Yeah.
However, you look at these things and you see it all, and you're like, all of these little individual aspects all seem to work, but something didn't work when it came together. So what I was saying was, these stories come out, right?
Yeah.
And everyone, I've seen it. All these articles are, this has come from the players. This is, the players moaning again. I'm sorry. I think the club compiles this. I think the club likes to justify why they've reached certain decisions. And I think the minute he parted company by mutual agreement, by the way, and I do that in air quotes.
Yeah, he wasn't fired. He didn't left.
No,
they both agreed.
They both agreed it was in everyone's best interest. He stayed the hell away.
Yeah.
It to me felt or feels like the club had a little folder of all the gripes and all the things they could put out that people would look at and go, "Oh wow, that's why things haven't gone well." Jeez, look at that. That's why.
Yeah.
Because it feels like what's the right word? So, like, for example, if you're a player at the club and you've got a gripe over something that's going on, like he's making us run. Well, it's a story. He's making them run like 10 kilometers, 2 kilometers before a game, right? Now I look at that, right? If you're a player, do that in week 1, 2, 3, knowing that every week there's a press story like, why are Tottenham starting games looking dead? All right?
Yep.
You leak it. If you are getting criticised every single week, you leak that. You do not hold on to it. So the players clearly aren't the ones who have leaked this. Everyone's going, oh, look at them, the treacherous bastards. No, I'm sorry. The club have done it. I know this is just my opinion, but got to justify why one of the top managers in world football is no longer at your club and why it's not worked.
Yeah, see, I remember when Pochettino was sacked and when Jose was sacked.
Yeah.
And all these stories were coming out.
Yeah.
And then all you had to do was go on to, with Pochettino, so Dele Alli, Son, Kane, Hugo, any of their social medias, and there's pictures of them hugging Pochettino saying, so sorry he's gone, thank you for everything. Yeah. When Jose went, the stuff that was coming out about the dinosaur training sessions and tactics and not believing in fitness and all this. Yeah. And there's Son and Kane and again Hugo and that lot putting posts on their own social media. Sorry you're gone, boss. Thank you for everything. And you look at it and you go, well, this is clearly not coming from the players.
Well, Conte,
but
okay, well that kind of maybe sits on my theory then, because there's not been one player post anything about Conte.
I was just about to say to you, I haven't seen any.
However, what I would say is that is possibly to do with his final press conference, where he basically told them all,
"You selfish pricks, you don't play as a team." Yeah.
Story that's come out, which has kind of been making me laugh a little bit, because do you remember weeks and weeks and weeks ago our form changed, and Harry Kane in an interview said that the players got together in a meeting and hashed out some stuff, and
they threw some home truths around and stuff. I saw about that.
And then what's come out yesterday is basically Antonio Conte called the meeting. All of the players came in, and then he stormed out and said, "You lot need to fix this."
I love that. I just love the idea that a manager's gone, right, emergency meeting, sort it out. Back in 20 minutes.
There's a level of toxicity there, which I'm laughing, but it's appalling. I run my own businesses, and I keep trying to think to myself, if I was in a position where I had to call a meeting of all the department heads, the managers of my offices, etc. And I sat them all down and went, right, this has been shit. Performance has been awful. Sort it out. And just walked out. Those fuckers would be on their phones within 30 seconds doing nothing, for one thing.
Yeah. Those that are on their phones doing something are on to, standards and stuff like that. You'd never guess what our boss just done.
Yeah.
Tribunal.
Yeah. My boss just called me a lazy, a selfish prick. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
It's like
And so
Højbjerg with the international break. Højbjerg was very clever with here's a player that has not overly impressed me this season, but his press conference. Well,
Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Yeah, Mr. Højbjerg is going to stand for a politician when he's done with football.
So
because
good.
His answer was just so like, what did you think about your manager saying that? Well, it's his opinion, and his opinion carries weight because he's the boss, and I'm a player, and I like to play football. And anyway, have a nice day. And you can almost feel like the journalist when he walked off was like, did he actually answer me? I don't think he answered me.
He turned around and basically told you, yes, we've all seen what he said, and he did say what he said. And maybe
that was what was said, and that was what he wanted to say. Goodbye.
He could maybe elaborate a little bit more on what players he thinks that was, but apart from that, he said what he said in an interview that you saw that I saw. Yeah, okay, bye.
Yeah, have a good day.
That was it. I was like, that's amazing.
Whereas Kulusevski, by the way, just went, fuck it, I choose violence.
I like Tottenham. Interview? I will still be at Tottenham with the managers here or not. I like the city. I like the club. I'm going to play for my team. Fuck you.
Mate. That was the other day. He got asked again yesterday. And yesterday's line was along the lines of, "I don't really give a crap what he thinks." Like basically, like, "Oh, Conte's gone," and he was like, "Yeah."
Who?
But yeah, it's like amazing to me that like not one player, like Conte put like a nice post on Instagram, and I thought, this is where you'll get like, "Oh, thank you, boss," or something like that.
Not one.
As of yesterday, no one's gone near it.
The closest thing we've had is Sonny has put an interview out to the Korean media in the mixed media bit after the
Sonny, and he's so friggin' nice.
I feel so bad that I didn't play well enough to help the boss, and I was like, "Oh, Sonny."
So basically, Sonny's taking it on himself. Like, Sonny's like, "I got a golden boot last year. This year I've not been very good, so it's my fault." And
basically, he's taking the blame for Conte's loss.
Someone go and hug him. Like, he arrives back. I just want someone to walk up and give him a hug and go, "It's not your fault."
Yeah. Go talk to Kulusevski. Trust me, it's not your fault.
Yeah, Kulusevski will tell you, "Don't worry about it, man. You're fine." He was off his rocker.
Yeah. Do you like the club? Yes. Do you like the city? Yes. Fuck him. It's fine.
Exactly. We're happy here.
Yeah.
The maddest thing right in this is Conte's gone right now. For life, have you ever seen a situation where one of these top managers who have their coaching teams, everything like that have been let go?
Yeah.
And the rest of them have stayed.
Now, this I don't understand. Now, you always had. Do you remember? You had Big Sam, and he always had like Sammy Lee followed him everywhere.
Yeah.
And certain managers have, like Pochettino and Jesus,
he's got his team.
They are his people, and a lot of managers have their coaching staff and their assistant manager, and they are like a package deal. You hire the manager, you get his assistant, and that's what Conte was. And Conte's apparently given his blessing for Christian Stellini to just stay with the rest of his coach. Yeah, whatever, crack on, go for it, whatever. And I'm like, now this is like one of two things has happened here.
Okay.
Either Conte genuinely has just gone, do whatever. I'm not going to get another job till the summer. Keep yourself busy. Crack on.
Yeah.
You want to stay there, you stay there. And in the summer, when I go back to Inter Milan, I'll contact you all. You come with me. Done. Happy days. Or he's now gone, nah. Do you know what? That team's really pissed me off. What I want you to do, you're going to stay there and you are going to make sure they finish outside the European places. Like,
I want you to make those players run 3 kilometers.
They thought 2 kilometers was bad. 10k every morning. Yeah.
So here's my thing, right? I was expecting we were, thank you to Antonio and his entire team, Stellini, his brother. Yeah, because his brother's gone.
Yeah, the brother
Antonio's
left.
brother. Yeah, his brother's gone, but the rest of the coaches are playing. And I was expecting to hear Michel Vaughan's come in as a temporary goalkeeping coach. Ryan Mason will take temporary charge. And, we've promoted several other coaches. Like Chris
promoted
Powell.
For a coach.
Chris Powell is going to come in as assistant. And Yaya Toure is stepping up from the academy. Defoe's stepping up from the academy. they're going to part a coaching team, and we're going to have a bit of a kind of like and Tottenham for the rest of the season will play 4-4-2, and we're just going to go.
Harry Redknapp came out in the press and said, if they let Ryan Mason do the last 10 games, I will come and be his assistant to help him out. And mate, that was like my wet dream. I was like, oh my god, Harry's back.
Yeah, there were certain Croatian players and a certain Peter Crouch waiting by their phones.
They had bags packed.
Yeah, they were ready, but let's just remember that Harry Redknapp pissed Daniel Levy off to a freaking degree that I'm not even sure any other managers. Well, maybe Conte has.
Conte has
managed it. Yeah, the odds of Harry Redknapp being brought back by Levy were not good. That was not going to happen. It's funny to think about. Yeah. But yeah, the fact that
final game of the season, Defoe and Crouch starting with Kane on the bench. What the fuck?
Yeah, that'd be about right. Nico Crankjar, hey, you're terrific lad, terrific player.
Terrific.
The fact is, I was expecting that, and I was expecting them to then go balls to the wall to try and appoint someone, and seeing Stellini's in charge, Mason is his assistant, I'm like, so we're just carrying on. Like nothing's actually going to check. Like you, and then bloody Paratici even come out and said it yesterday from his cell. Oh yeah, we felt that continuity was important. With only 10 games left, we thought, we don't want to bring someone in and everything be upheaved, whereas we can continue. And I'm looking at it and I'm like...
At that point, you're like, if you want to continue, why did you sack the manager?
Well, I think the reality was they didn't sack him. I think it was a mutual agreement that came about from the fact that he didn't want to be here.
Yeah,
and
he went back to
Italy
and went, fly back. No, I'm good.
No, I'm good.
Have you seen how cheap Ryanair is one way? I ain't flying back.
By the way, there's that video, right? So when he left after that, so he did that press conference. Yeah. The guy then hops on a Ryanair flight, and there's a fan, a Tottenham fan, has just been sat next to him. There's like a seat between them, and he's cleverly filmed, like, oh, it's Antonio Conte sat like a seat away from me.
Yeah.
Ever since I saw that, I thought to myself, one, I really hope that he filmed it and then posted it after getting off the plane. Because could you imagine if he filmed it, posted it, and then Conte's browsing social media, which he does, and realises there's a video being secretly filmed, and the guy sat right there. Regardless of how tough I think I am, Antonio Conte's not a guy I'm going to piss off when I've got to sit next to him for 2 hours on a frigging flight. No, thank you. The guy's got the look of a serial killer.
Like, you'd be sat there making comments going, I don't think this cabin crew are very selfish. I don't think you're working as a team very well, do they?
Oh, mate. So here's the question I was going to ask you, right? You're that guy, right?
Yep.
Actually, I can do one better. You actually worked as cabin crew.
I did. And I was
so let's say you are cabin crew on a flight, right? Yep. You're a cabin crew on a flight. Antonio Conte has done that press conference, and then you look down and he is sat there on your flight.
Yeah.
Could you, as a Spurs fan, and be honest here, because I know a lot of people go, I freaking say this to him, and then the person walks up and they're like, hello, mate, I love you. Be honest, could you have kept your gob shut, or would you have had to have said something to him?
Now, I would have had to have kept my gob shut purely because I know I would have lost my job. I was lucky enough to meet Ledley King whilst I was working at London City Airport, and again he was with his family and stuff, and I was in my uniform, so I had to be very professional and just direct him down to where something was in the airport. And as he walked away, I was like, oh my god, like I was in my head screaming, I love you, you're one of my favourite players ever, but out loud I was like, yes, of course, if you go just down there to the right, past gate 7. It's just there for you. Okay, thank you. Have a wonderful day, sir. Oh, you fucking legend. Oh. I've had Van Persie on a flight with me. I've had a few other players as well. And you have to stay professional, and you have to kind of, no matter what you're saying inside your head, you're not allowed to say it out loud. If after that interview had happened, Conte then boarded a flight and I'm stood there at the door welcoming people on,
Yeah.
there may well have been a hello mate, quick getaway, is it? Okay, have a seat.
Yeah. You checking in any luggage, sir? Perhaps a P45?
Yeah. Just hand luggage, really. Have you not brought the stuff, rest of it from Italy?
Yeah. Well, you've been living in a hotel. Anyway, right. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, yeah, actually working, you've probably been able. If I was that guy who was filming that thing, I don't think I'd have been able to keep my gob shut.
Not for 2 hours. There would have been something said, wouldn't there?
It would have just been like, "Oh, Antonio, nice to meet you. I'm a Tottenham fan," and he'd have been like, "Oh, great," and then probably would have moved seats.
Yeah, I would like to change seats now, please.
I would very much like to upgrade myself to first class right now.
Yeah. Oh.
And then I'd have got my black card out and go, "No escaping me, you prick." You should have gone private. You've got 2 hours of listening to me rip you a new one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or would you have done it in the flight for 2 hours, or would you have waited to, as you're getting off the plane, just walking behind him down the steps going, "Oh, by the way, you're the fucking problem."
Yeah. By the way, I've been trying to work out all season what the problem was, and hey, it's you. You're the problem. It's you. So,
dude, did you just try and quote Taylor Swift in a Spurs News podcast?
I did quote Taylor Swift.
Oh wow,
I love Taylor Swift.
This podcast is going the same way as Spurs this season. Wow.
Hey, look, I love Taylor Swift. It's a pure love, and she's never wrong. Years ago, I had 2 rules in life: mint sauce goes with everything, and Britney Spears is never wrong. She shaved her head, and I had to rethink my 2 rules in life. So now, I stick with mint sauce goes with everything, and Taylor Swift is never wrong.
Not fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, and she's great. Moving on. Yeah, if anyone has a different opinion on that and they want to email in to tell me that Taylor Swift's not great, etc., stick it up your ass. I've got that microphone. Actually, I don't at the moment. I'm on the phone, but
you're on a phone. I have a microphone.
So the next question is obviously who next, and we're going to try and do this quickly because there's names everywhere. There's the name that we got linked with pretty quickly was Nagelsmann.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's the Pochettino links, but people seem to be really downplaying that, which is breaking my heart, but they are.
That is the one person. Like, that's it. I'm in full Spurs rant mode. I have cancelled the rest of my plans for this afternoon. I am now in full Spurs rant mode.
Oh, bring it.
Pochettino is the one person who I genuinely believe, if we can sign a manager to bring the fan base back on board with what is going on at this club, he is the only person that can do it. Like, I've even seen people on social media that were so, I'm so glad Pochettino's gone, he lost the squad, he did this, he did that. Even they are the people that are turning around social media now going, I miss that football. Yeah. Like, let's just bring him back just to rebuild the fan base again. You know, like, he's the one manager that could potentially get players like Kane to go, all right, do you know what? Let's give it a chance. Like, we've brought in the world-class managers. It hasn't worked. He's got, 12 months left in his contract this summer?
Kane, yeah.
You know, and if there is any hope of him signing a last contract that will see him through his career sort of thing, as a Spurs player, I don't see any other manager apart from Pochettino being the manager to do it, unless we go absolutely right wing and bring in like Carlo Ancelotti.
Well,
I don't see, you know,
managed Everton.
Well,
he did well with Richarlison. No, I mean the Kane thing's a whole other subject. I mean it breaks my heart, but I think that's done. I think Kane to Man United's the most obvious transfer in the history of the world.
can you imagine
Man United,
Kane, Rashford and Sancho as the front three for England and Man United? It works well for the country's prospects, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, they've got new owners coming in. They'll want to make a statement.
There's going to be that one big signing, isn't there? Like everyone that comes in.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Man City first got brought out? It was Robinho.
Yeah, we've got Robinho. Yeah, I remember it well.
Yeah.
Mate, it's obvious. It's the most obvious transfer in history. Harry Kane loved Teddy Sheringham. Sheringham left Tottenham, went and won another stuff, then come back. Kane will have in his head he'll go sign a four-year, 5-year deal and do the same if he wants to keep playing at that point. He's fit, he's hungry, he wants to win stuff. Man United's going only one way, whereas we're dropping off. They've got the money. They've got the money to pay him. They've got the money to buy in, and we won't allow him to go for free the following season because that's not the way we work.
It's gonna be heartbreaking, isn't it? It really
We
is.
signed Richarlison, who can play as that striker.
And when he's playing for Brazil, he plays as a striker very, very well. When he plays with Tottenham out on one of the wide positions, we've currently seen 0 goals in the Premier League. You know,
yeah, and it'd be interesting to see if he gets any games in his last 10 because that's injury, unfortunately. But you've got to remember, like Sonny's struggled under Conte in those positions this season because of the sheer amount of work he's expected them to do running backwards. Yeah. Now, if we do get a system tweak or a kind of a, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's part of that. But manager-wise, for me, there's only one thing that can unite the fan base back to the club, and that's Pochettino. Yes, there will still be people who question that, and yes, it does feel like a massive admission of you got it so badly wrong. But here's the thing. I don't mind admitting I'm wrong when I make mistakes. What I bugbear is repeating the same shit over and over again. So you appointed Jose, and then you looked at him and went, that's a mistake. You then appointed Nuno and Conte. So even though back on whatever it was of May 2021, you said, okay, going down this road was a mistake, you've then repeated it twice more.
Yeah.
If you then try and repeat this a third time, I mean, I don't know what your thinking is. Whether Pochettino would want to come back is, I think, a different question that not enough people are asking. He clearly still loves the club. He, in his mind and vocally,
mad bastard.
Yeah, he is. But he fell in love with us. He fell in love with the club. I mean, the club's mental. I mean, me and you have discussed it. How in the hell do we love this club that treats us like shit? I don't know, but we do. And it is the most toxic relationship I'll ever be in my entire life. And trust me, I've dated some toxic ass people.
Yeah, I have a 3-month-old daughter. Yeah. And I have already gone out, and she has a Spurs kit in every size from 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12, 12 to 18. Like, I have got her football Spurs kits ranging in the sizes. So, she's screwed until she's at least 18 months old because I've got kids up until that age.
But this is how we as Tottenham grow our fan base. We breed. Because no one's joining our fan base due to.
I mean, I did apologise. I put her in the baby grow of Spurs, and as I was doing the buttons up, I did apologise. For the rest of her life, you will be miserable due to this one choice I have made for you.
On your behalf, yeah.
But don't you look really cute in the old purple retro baby suit?
Exactly, and that's the thing. It's about what we want, not what they want.
Exactly.
So manager-wise, I think Nagelsmann would be interesting. And see, me and you talked about this, and how do I convey this to everybody? There are a lot of names on there, the list that we're linked to, and we're being linked to more and more. There's a manager at Celtic. The Brighton manager, the manager, or there's lots of names on it. And I look at it and I'm like, none of this excites me. Like, none of it.
No.
Pochettino coming back, there's a certain connection with that guy and the work that happened, which makes me feel like that would feel good. I would feel good about that. Nagelsmann, again, I don't feel excited by that. And a lot of people might go, wow, that's surprising because he is a young, dynamic coach like Pochettino, but does have a little bit of name value as well and all these different things. But
and what's crazy with that is, before he took the Bayern job,
Yeah.
We were in talks with him, and both of us were like, "My God,
Yeah.
if we can get this guy."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'd
that
have
was
been
what,
over the moon.
18 months ago.
No, I'd have been over the moon.
Yeah.
I think I worked out yesterday what is making me feel that way. I think because I was looking at it, because me and you had a little conversation. I think it was the Brighton manager. And I was
Yes.
just like, oh, what's he done? He's at Brighton, for God's sake. There's no excitement there. And you said to me, well, Pochettino was at Southampton.
Yeah, he did a year at Southampton, and I was absolutely gutted that instead of us signing a big name manager, we'd gone from this Argentine bloke I'd never heard of at Southampton.
Yeah. Who'd come in and, all right, he's done a little bit of a good job there, whatever.
Mid-table, lucky them. Yeah, great.
No, all of that was valid. All of that was kind of like. Now, the thing I'd say, that little exchange me and you had made me think about. I was like, yeah, you're right, actually, because I remember the Pochettino thing, me being really against it, and then I read this blog piece that someone wrote where they really went in onto what he does and what he does well, and I read it and I was like, wow, I'm converted. Okay, you've got me. And then from that moment on, and then I saw the work he was doing with the team, and I was like, yeah, we are going somewhere with this. And, year on year, I was blown away. But anyway, so I was kind of like, yeah, you're right. So why am I going into this so negative? And what I worked out is because of the club. It's because I have got zero faith in them appointing anyone or doing anything now which actually is going to help us. Because you look at that manager hunt when we ended up with Nuno, was a frigging shambles. It was awful. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
So here we are again. In my lifetime supporting Spurs, it has been Alan Sugar and Daniel Levy as the people who have run the football club.
Yeah.
And that is painful. It is, Sugar was on his own. Let's park him. But Daniel Levy's gone through, I think someone said like 14 managers or something like that. So in 21 seasons, Pochettino was in charge for 4.5, 5.
5, I think, yeah.
Harry Redknapp made it to 1.5, made it to 2.
Harry
Maybe
Redknapp
two, I think it was 2.
He took over with us, like,
he
took
over with us, and then he had a good season and another season, and then he
must
gone.
have done maybe 2 seasons.
Yeah, so two and a bit, right? So if you work at the fact that between those two, that's 8 seasons, you suddenly realise that basically, other than those 2, he fires a manager a season.
Gee, yeah.
Which is like we have not finished.
Sherwood.
We have not finished the season with the same manager we started with since 2018.
Jeez.
So Pochettino got fired and Jose came in. Then Jose started it, and by the end of the season it was Ryan Mason. Nuno started it. By the end of the season it was Conte. Conte started it. At the end of the season it's Stellini. There is, in that period of time, I'd say half the squad has not changed, but the other half has. And do you think from Pochettino to Jose to Nuno, I still can't believe I've got to include that in here, to Conte, now to Stellini, there is one continuity of footballing style there? Because I'm going to answer this. No, there fucking isn't. Even Jose and Conte are different in their stylings of how they. I know people
it's
go,
both defensive football, but Jose was counter-attack, get it to the front 3 and go. Yeah. Conte's not even counter, get it to the front 3 this season. It's just been
get it to the wide. Get his system when it works is great. Get it to the wing backs. Wing backs create all, they score all. We're awesome. Now you look at that and you go, how in the fucking hell can you build a squad when every season you are changing your whole philosophy? And how in the hell can you judge someone in a season or in a season and a half when they are inheriting a hodgepodge of Pochettino's vision Jose Mourinho's vision, because Pochettino, going into that season he got sacked, was given Ndombele, Lo Celso, Sessegnon. He spent over 100 million on those three because Pochettino felt these were the players he could work with and get the best out of.
Yeah.
Before he even had chance, he was gone.
Jeez.
And then you've got
look
Jose.
at the players that have been brought in. So you're going to have had different players brought in by Poch, different players by Jose, different players by Nuno, different players by Conte.
Yeah.
All play different styles.
Mate, I want to highlight something which is going to make you really cringe. Right, you ready?
Oh, God.
So that was 2019. Pochettino was fired, yeah?
Yep.
Ndombele and Lo Celso. Now, let's say we rehire him, right? In 2023 for the 2023-2024 season.
Yep.
Ndombele and Lo Celso, who everybody can say, hand on heart, no matter how much you might like them individually, have been flops at our football club, are still registered players of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And that means they would have gone through Jose Mourinho, who didn't want them, Nuno, who didn't want them, Conte, who didn't want them, and then back to Pochettino, who originally signed them.
Which means they could potentially have a fantastic 18 months and get a new contract. And then...
Yeah, which is mental. When you think, just let that wrap through your head. Like,
so, at midfield trio, for example, if we were to say he was to play that 4-3-3 that he played, you could have sat there, let's just say Bentancur or Harry Winks.
Winks,
Winks
of course, is still at the club.
Could be sat there as the one behind, and then in front of him, it could be Ndombele and Lo Celso.
It just, I'm just like,
I think I've gone to hysteria.
Wow. You talk about how the club has failed to operate as a top club and a big club, and in that way where I operated that, I mean, it is football focused. It is not financial focused. It is football focused, success focused.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got these players out on loan. Yes, they're not around the place dragging the atmosphere down or whatever. But this summer, all of these, they're coming home to roost. All of these issues that we've gone, right, kick that into long grass. And now here we are again. We've got a whole new manager again who's going to come in and have to make an assessment on the squad. He's going to have to come in and go, right, who's on my books? Who wants to be here? Who doesn't want to be here? Okay, Harry Kane, one of the best strikers in the world. He's got 12 months left on his deal. My first priority has to be to meet with him and say, hey, I'm here now. Please let us extend your deal. Please.
Oh,
because if you go, about half the squad's going to go, oh, crap.
Yeah. Oh, that's...
It is a nightmare. Now,
I'm just thinking to myself how many people are actually out on loan at the moment with the likes of Reguilon.
Yeah.
Who I still think, as a manager who's playing a 4 at the back, he comes back and could potentially be our number 1 left back.
Yeah, so here you go. Here's something fun for you, right?
Yeah.
We signed 2 very talented, young, raw, but very, very talented wing-backs. Destiny and Jed Spence.
And we may now not have a manager that plays wing-backs.
Yeah. Now, they are both out on loan. Now, Jed Spence is proven to be what a lot of young players are, and that's inconsistent.
Yeah.
So he made his debut on loan for Rennes and was phenomenal. And everyone went, see, Antonio, what the hell have you been doing? He then played the next 3 games and got slammed for being lack of concentration.
Yeah.
He then, no bullshit, because I watched it, pocketed Mbappe for an entire game.
That was insane. I've seen loads of clips of that game, and he genuinely kept him silent.
He kept up with him, paced him. Like, every time Mbappe tried his whole, I'm going to outburn you, Jed was like, no, you're not. And I watched it, like, mouth open, going, okay, that level of raw talent needs coaching. Please give Pochettino that kid. He'll be the best attacking right back in the history of English football if Pochettino gets hold of him.
Yeah.
Please, Lord, let that happen.
It
And
is
then
one of
I
those
look at this.
players where watching him in France, it's almost like they're saying the whole inconsistency thing. It's almost like he's looked at who he's up against and gone, "Who the hell are you?" All right then. And then he got put up against Mbappe and went, "Oh, I know who you are. I'm going to prove I'm just as bloody good as you are."
You can coach that. You can get that player focused. You can grab him and go, right, every game, that's your level. Because if you play at that level, you will not just be the best right back in this country, you'll be the best one in the world, and you'll be playing for your country. You know, you will literally achieve because you pocket a player of that level at club level. You then go to international level and do it. Trust me, mate. The sky's the limit.
Yeah. Joe Rodon's going to come back,
mate. This is the mental. This is insane.
Yeah.
You look at our defending this season, and you look at it and you go, surely it couldn't have been, worse with Rod. You just look at it and go, this is ridiculous. Davinson Sanchez was signed by Pochettino from Ajax when he was trying to make us adaptable with playing a back four or with wing backs.
Yeah.
So he would play in between Alderweireld and he would play in between with Vertonghen and he would be in there and with his pace, because those two were getting on, it really worked. Because those two were so freaking good, they kind of brought him up.
They were literally talking him through the games.
Yeah. And do you know what? That's okay. There are some times you need that. I remember watching Ledley King and Michael Dawson. King carried him a little bit. I love Dawes, but Dawes is a very basic English defender. I'm good in the air, and I will put my boot through this ball into Rosa. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's not me being horrible, because I think some of the best defenders that I've ever loved are like that, and Dawes is one of them.
Dawson's one of my favourite ever defenders.
And then you had the Rolls Royce next to you, that Ledley King, only on one knee, and you'd see him in games just do stuff, and you'd be like, you are God's gift of defending. You are ridiculous. Yes. And as a partnership, that worked. You ever saw Dawson with anyone else? It was like, Dawes is having a crap game. What the hell's going on? What's going on with Dawson? He's all over the place. It's because he didn't have that.
The voice in his ear telling him,
step
the
up,
drop back, go out, come back.
Yeah. And you've got to remember, like, that doesn't happen overnight. You've got to learn that. You've got to become experienced to learn and just have that reading of the game some people have. Yeah. And Vertonghen and Alderweireld had that, and they had that understanding, and Sanchez's level was raised because of it. You ever watch a game where Dyer is alongside Sanchez in a back four and you just cry? Yeah. Because
Sanchez has been running out to the wing. Why?
Well, Dyer was trying to hit some diagonal pass, and Sanchez thought, "I'll try and get on the end of it."
I see what he's going to do.
Yeah, I'm on it. I'm there, Gov. Like, and you see, it's a nightmare. It's like a nightmare waiting to happen.
But no, this is the point. So going back to what you were saying about the next manager. Yeah. We bring in a Nagelsmann, or we've been linked to the manager of, is it Frankfurt or something?
Yeah.
Who have just last season won the Europa League.
Yeah.
And we've been linked with the manager from them, and he's up there on my list, to be fair to him. He's up there on my list. But all of them have this completely different style.
Yep.
So it's going to be another season, another new manager, another style to learn in pre-season.
Yeah, and another squad shift.
Another squad shift. So, and more players coming in, and we still can't sell Ndombele and Lo Celso, so they get another loan out to someone.
Yeah.
And it's just, we're going back to the business of running a business.
Yeah.
How has Levy not been sacked for incompetence?
Well, this is my point, and this brings this podcast full circle and possibly to an end here.
We're getting close to the 2-hour mark.
The reality is, my point. I have gone on and on and on about how you can argue the football side, but the business has been great. The business has been great. There is no other business around where someone could consistently fail, as Daniel Levy has, with his appointments and keep his job.
No.
Now, you can argue loads of it, like, I'm doing my job well, I empower these people, and they make mistakes, so I do my job well by replacing them. But at some point, the person above has to go, it's you making this decision. It's you bringing these people in, you firing them. We are not progressing. Like, the football side is not progressing. Now, again, I know there's that debate when Daniel Levy took over, we were fighting relegation. Now we're fighting for the top four more often than not.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a progression in terms of that, but the club now needs to move on from that, and we're stuck. It's like a glass ceiling.
I was about to say, it's the glass ceiling of everyone's talking about, well, you know, we need to get fourth place. Fourth place is the aim. No. First place is the aim. Fourth place is the drop down to, okay, we didn't win the title, but at least we got top four. It's
the bare minimum. If you are aspiring to be a big club, you're aspiring to be a successful club, you are aiming to win, and the bare minimum is top four.
Yeah.
In the league. And you should be, in addition to that, trying to lift one of the trophies that you're in.
Yeah.
That should be your aim every single season. It's like, okay, we want to win the league. Minimum, we stay within the top four, so we're challenging.
Yeah.
And in the cup competitions, we are aiming to win one of them. Now, English football is ridiculously tough, which basically means that you could finish second in the league, runner-up in the cup competition, both of them, do well in Europe as well. So end the season trophyless, but look at it and go, bloody hell, that was such a good season. How unlucky are we?
Yep.
Under Pochettino, remember, we did that.
Yeah.
We finished fourth and lost in the League Cup. We finished, we got to cup semi-finals. We lost in the Champions League final. We got to the Champions League final. Now, from Tottenham Hotspur Football Club to be in a Champions League final alone was massive. We were the second best team in Europe. The second best team in Europe. I know it's not a trophy and everyone's going to go, but we were there. We actually did. That was an achievement. That was another building block. And when that all fell and everyone was like so disappointed and heartbroken and we needed to pick ourselves back up again, as a club, instead of going, okay, this season might not be as good, but we are going to pick ourselves back up again, we sacked him and went to Jose. Like, oh, we were so close. Clearly Pochettino is not the man to do it. Jose would do it, and then sacked him a week before final, and here we are again.
Yeah.
So whoever it is that comes in, unfortunately, for me, I don't feel the excitement. And the reason I don't feel the excitement is purely and simply because this club doesn't change.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, if Pochettino returns, I will feel there's an excitement because I know what he did before, and I also know he knows the club. He's going to be coming in with his eyes wide open, knowing the place, knowing the squad, ridiculously knowing the squad, but also knowing how Daniel Levy works, how the club operates behind the scenes, how the medical team works. Because it is weird to me that Jose and then Conte, even Nuno, have had massive digs about our medical department.
Yeah, you say how our medical department works. I'm not entirely certain they do.
Now, we as fans have been kind of like, look, if a guy's injured, he's injured. I mean, what the hell? Yeah. But then at the same time, we do get these situations where it's like, Lucas Moura's been the latest one. The guy's just had this weird, undisclosed injury basically all season. And they've just kind of like, yeah, he's injured.
Yeah, he played for like the under-23s a couple of times and then disappeared again. It was like, oh, okay. Is he not fit again then? Is he injured? What's happened? Why? Yeah,
and I'm sure there is. And perhaps it's a communication thing. Perhaps it's just, he's injured. What more do you need to know? But it just seems weird that on a regular basis with Tottenham, we get like, oh, it's a hamstring injury, but it's not too bad. And then we as fans go, oh, no, he's dead. Oh, no, clearly he's died. Yeah. If he said it's not too bad, he'll be back soon. That's code for Tottenham for he's never going to walk again.
Yeah, was it Eric Lamella? Like that guy was.
Yeah, and the next thing you knew, he was having a frigging double hip operation, and we're all like, What?
He had a calf strain. What's happened to his hips? What have you done? Yeah.
Yeah, what has gone on behind the scenes at Tottenham to degenerate this poor young man's back? But anyway, so I think me and you could record this for another hour.
I'm good now. I'm going now.
No, we've got to stop. You forget how hard this is going to be for you to edit, because it ain't me.
Oh no! Yeah, fair point.
Yeah. So I just want to stop it here and say, look, thank you so much for listening. Me and Stephan have got a lot of stuff off our chests. There is more in the tank probably, but we've got a lot of stuff aired. Get in touch with us. You can do it via any of the social media for Spurs News, or you can email into me. And if you send it to me and Stephan will both read it. It's sam@spursnews.co.uk. Send in your thoughts on what we've said, and I'll happily go backwards and forwards, because I quite enjoy discussion with like-minded people and different points. And if there's, I did see a few people when we announced we were going to do this one-off show sent in questions. Apologies, this wasn't a show for that. When we're back doing weekly, you know, all the gods willing, I'm able at some point. Then obviously every week we'll be having comments and questions again. But this show was just about us clearing the air on the topics, on our thoughts, and
because my God, our WhatsApp conversations have been non-stop for the last.
They
month.
have, and increasingly toxic as well when it comes to the club. And obviously with the news today that Paratici is now banned as well, and the fact that Sky Sports are saying, yeah, but you can still attend meetings and stuff, and I'm like, oh, what? We
must be the only club to have someone who has been criminally charged and gone, nah, keep him.
Nah, he's all right. And of course we're the only club who currently have someone under criminal investigation for footballing matters. Anyway, when it comes to rape, you can go and win the league, apparently. There we go. That's all I've got to say about that. So, massive thank you to everyone who's listened. I want to say a massive apology again for the fact the show has been paused. I am going to do everything I can to come back, because I do miss it. I miss talking to everybody. I miss talking Tottenham because it's therapeutic for me. But mate, I'll hand back over to you now. But just from me, big thank you everybody, and hopefully I will speak to you all again very soon.
And if you are listening to this and we have just about hit like the 1 hour 55 minutes sort of mark, that means I was actually able to edit it really well. So if you're listening to this part and this podcast is only 25 minutes long, I screwed up. It's basically how this works, I'm going to be honest.
Yep.
I think we've covered everything. I'll just I normally end the podcast with like, come on you Spurs, but it's more kind of get your act together Spurs.
Yeah.
Than anything else. But Sam, it has been wonderful talking to you again.
Yep.
Let's do this again soon.
Cheers, mate. Bye all.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.